A few days later, the crown prince's gifts to the princess arrived at the Duke of Weishaffen. The sheer amount of items was enough to fill a cart. Of course, there were precious jewelry, paintings, and sculptures by famous artists, local specialties, and even precious foreign fabrics that would look perfect on Isla if they were made into clothing. Everything was there, except what was missing. His Highness the Crown Prince wanted to come in person, but his schedule did not allow time, so he sent me instead. He told me to make sure I let him know. Joseph, the Chamberlain, spoke with a look of inexplicable relief. It was the same Chamberlain that Isla had met several times. Please tell him I thanked him. Isla looked at the gifts with a slightly dazed expression. On top of the countless piles of gifts were none other than the rings Isla had mentioned. Cheap souvenirs bought in the souvenir shop of the Kingdom of Inselkov, sold only to tourists. It was as if he was shouting, "I never lost him." He chuckled and tried on the flower-shaped ring, carved from a single clear blue stone. As expected, it was a little loose on him, but he still liked it. After the servant, with a somewhat tired face, left, the servants became even more excited than the person who received the gift. My God, His Highness the Crown Prince must be very fond of you. That's right. It's not even a special day, and yet His Highness sends so many gifts. This has never happened. Since no girl of the Crown Prince's age had ever received a gift like this, they all looked at him with surprised expressions. Isla, who had little contact with other nobles, didn't know it, but Winfried was very popular among young women her age. In addition to being the only son of the emperor, he was handsome, tall, and had a kind nature. She was the envy of all the young women because she had everything. However, he was the one who treated everyone equally and never treated anyone more special than the others, and he was the one who made everyone suffer, so he started this gift offensive. If this news spread to high society, rumors would surely spread that the crown prince had fallen in love with the princess of Weishaffen at first sight. And the rumor was not far from the truth. It was almost true, except that the moment of love at first sight had not happened a few days ago, but a long time ago. Yeah? Isla listened attentively to the tumultuous comments of the maids. He was the first person Winfried had invested so much effort in. It wasn't bad. That's when someone appeared, interrupting the happy atmosphere. Laura entered the room, struggling, with a bucket of water and a mop. Oh, Laura. The atmosphere in the room suddenly became cold. Lisa was there too. Since everyone knew what Laura had done to her, they all looked at her with embarrassed faces. Although they didn't say anything out loud in front of Isla, it seemed like everyone was thinking, where does he think he's coming in so brazenly? Laura hesitated and took a step back, looking a little nervous, as if she hadn't expected everyone to be gathered there. I'll be back later to clean, miss. Laura sighed deeply as she left the room. He had come because he desperately needed to tell Isla, but he didn't know why they were all huddled together like that. Although she was not openly harassed, the other employees now shunned her, as if she had contracted a contagious disease. It was her fault, so she reaped what she sowed, but Laura didn't believe it and just felt wronged. What is she so good at that she laughs like that? Laura chuckled as she remembered Isla laughing happily, surrounded by her maids. It was so painful to see his enemy's daughter smile happily. While she went through so many difficulties. There was a bit of commotion in the mansion today, as if someone had come, but Laura was busy with chores and didn't understand the details. I'll ask later. Laura grunted again as she carried the bucket of water. It was important to break the news to Isla, but right now she had to finish the task. And that night, he cautiously entered the room where Isla was alone. Isla had realized this quickly and had fired Lisa early. Welcome, Laura. What's happening? Has my father sent you a message? Why do you say such obvious things? Are you afraid that he will come without doing anything? You know how busy I am. Leave all the dirty work to me. Laura grumbled as soon as she entered the room. His bad mood, already unpleasant, seemed to get worse as he grew tired. I see. But you, miss, you don't seem to notice my difficulties and you seem to be having fun with the others. What happened before? When Isla responded in a dispassionate voice, not knowing how to react, Laura crossed her arms and asked in disgust, that. The Crown Prince sent me a gift. That's why we talk about it. The Crown Prince? Laura frowned. Even though he was the Crown Prince, he was just someone who would be removed from office once Byron's mission was successful. But why were they making such a fuss about receiving a gift from the Crown Prince? It just seemed silly to him. Anyway, I think I have one more line to add to the report. Laura was worried that she had been relegated to a more reserved position lately and had less to report, but she had finally heard some news. Anything you could add would be a huge plus. And what did my father say? Isla asked, who was waiting for Laura to speak, unable to contain her impatience, and asked again. He had come to see Laura, saying he had something to say, but he was just talking nonsense. Oh, something. Only then did Laura remember the reason for her visit and, with a somewhat embarrassed voice, told him the news that Byron had sent her. With the army and weapons prepared, all that remained was to wait for the great event at the Duke's residence. Finally, Isla unconsciously clutched at the hem of her skirt. The day was approaching when he would finally end everything and make Byron pay for his deception. Now that I think about it, the Duke said he would throw you a big banquet for my birthday this year. He spoke with great effort, his voice trembling with emotion. Of course, it wasn't something he talked about with his father. They hadn't gone into that much detail yet, but Roderick had probably mentioned it first, believing that if Isla told him, he would certainly do what she wanted. Is it your birthday this year? Yeah. Laura put her fingers together and counted the time until Isla's birthday. There were about 3 months left, so if he started preparing now, he had plenty of time. Then I'll go. Until that day, you must take care of your health so that your skills do not rust. You must not forget that your task is essential to avenge our master. Laura's expression became serious and she hurriedly left the room. He had to report this quickly, out of everyone's sight. And Isla, left alone, calmed her trembling hands. Now there wasn't much left. That girl's birthday party, Byron murmured, grabbing the report Laura had sent him. Murdered by his own daughter on the eve of his birthday. What a beautiful act of poetic justice. A very fitting ending for a villain. I like it. Well, I like it a lot. He raised one corner of his mouth awkwardly. Within 3 months. If he could last that long, he could have Ophelia by his side. He could kill his younger brother who dared to take his place, strike down his friend who betrayed him, and then sit proudly in his place, hugging the woman he loves. Just imagining it made his heart burst with ecstasy. Byron, delighted with the good news, stared at Cloud, who was standing in front of him with his face clouded by dark clouds. That? You don't seem very happy. Aren't you happy to be able to restore the status of the heir family? Byron asked with a displeased expression. Once all the work was done, the plan was to drastically elevate the heir family, previously a family of viscounts, to the rank of marquis. Byron, who was already overjoyed at his grace, felt annoyed that Cloud's sullen expression ruined his joy. No, my lord. I mean, there's a page from the report that Laura sent. Ah, I see. I was reading. When Cloud changed the subject naturally, Byron finally moved on to the next chapter. As soon as he saw the mention of a big birthday banquet, he got so excited that he forgot to finish reading. The next page contained a rather silly story about how the Crown Prince had sent Isla a bunch of gifts. Byron put down the report, somewhat awkwardly.